In May 2011, the travel industry was rocked by the mysterious disappearance of 27-year-old Lillian Carter aboard the luxury cruise ship Ocean Mirage. Intended as a dream honeymoon, this voyage turned into a nightmare when Lillian vanished, leaving behind a mystery that would captivate and haunt investigators for years to come. The investigation into Lillian's disappearance quickly unraveled the facade of her marriage to 32-year-old Brandon Carter, a Miami attorney known for his success, but harboring dark secrets. They had married in a lavish wedding in December 2010, but beneath the celebration, their relationship was already strained with deceit and betrayal. On the morning of May 10, 2011, the Ocean Mirage glided smoothly through the turquoise waters of the Caribbean, basking in the golden glow of the sun as it neared its next destination, St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The ship, a floating palace of luxury, buzzed with the usual morning activities, passengers enjoying breakfast buffet, sipping coffee on deck, or planning their day of adventure. Yet, amidst this lively atmosphere, Suite 7419 stood out for its unsettling stillness. Unlike the other cabins where laughter, rustling suitcases, or sleepy murmurs typically greeted the day, this suite was silent, its door closed, its occupants unseen. The absence of life from within hinted at a disruption in the idyllic rhythm of the honeymoon cruise, a quiet that would soon prove ominous. At precisely 8 a.m., a cabin steward named Miguel Torres, a seasoned employee with years of experience on cruise ships, approached Suite 7419 as part of his morning rounds. He had cleaned dozens of honeymoon suites before, accustomed to the cheerful chaos of newlyweds, half-unpacked luggage, scattered clothes, and the faint scent of champagne lingering in the air. Knocking lightly on the door, he expected a groggy good morning or a playful comeback later. Instead, there was nothing. A second, louder knock yielded the same eerie silence. Checking his clipboard, he confirmed the room belonged to Mr. and Mrs. Carter, who had boarded 4 days earlier in Miami. Hesitant, but following protocol, Miguel used his keycard at 8:05 a.m. and stepped inside. The sight stopped him cold. The bed was unmade, sheets twisted in disarray, a stark contrast to the tidiness most guests maintained. A pair of women's sandals lay toppled near the door. A half-full glass of water sat abandoned on the bedside table, and most chillingly, a trail of blood-stained footprints stretched from the bathroom to the open balcony. The bathroom sink bore red smudges, as if someone had hastily washed blood from their hands, and the breeze from the open glass door rustled the curtains, amplifying the scene's haunting stillness. At 8:45 a.m., as the Ocean Mirage continued its serene journey through the Caribbean, the ship's intercom system crackled with an announcement that would change the day's mood entirely. The voice of the head of security cut through the gentle hubbub of breakfast conversations and the distant strains of deck music, announcing with a calm, yet serious tone, passenger Lillian Carter is missing. If anyone has seen her, please report to the security desk immediately. The message was repeated in multiple languages to ensure all passengers understood the urgency of the situation. This announcement sent a shockwave through the ship. At the buffet tables, forks paused mid-air as passengers exchanged looks of confusion and concern. On the deck, sunbathers sat up, scanning the horizon and nearby faces, half expecting to see Lillian appearing from some hidden nook. The morning's tranquility was shattered by an undercurrent of unease, with the ship's staff moving more briskly, their usual jovial service replaced by a tense efficiency. The sense of a dream vacation turned into one of apprehension, as the reality of a missing person among them began to sink in. Security officers, now hypervigilant, began distributing flyers with Lillian's photo, urging passengers to be on the lookout and report any sightings or clues. By 9:15 a.m., Brandon Carter was located in the ship's main dining area, alone at a table, sipping on a cup of black coffee. His demeanor was one of calm, perhaps too calm for someone whose wife had just been reported missing. When security approached him, he agreed to return to Suite 7419 for questioning. In the suite, Surrounded by the evidence of last night's chaos, Brandon recounted his version of events. He explained that he and Lillian had gone to bed late after socializing with other guests. He claimed that at around 1:30 a.m., Lillian had mentioned she needed some fresh air, suggesting she was going out to the balcony or perhaps for a walk on the deck. He assumed she had returned to bed, as they had shared a few drinks and he had fallen asleep. When he woke up at 6 a.m., he found her side of the bed empty but thought little of it until the ship's announcement. However, his account was marred by inconsistencies. His shirt was wrinkled, suggesting he might have slept in it or been up through the night, and he was seen rubbing his wedding band nervously. When asked what Lillian might have been wearing when he last saw her, he hesitated, providing a vague description that didn't match what was found in the room. His composure under questioning seemed rehearsed, raising doubts among the investigators about the veracity of his story. At 10 a.m., the captain was notified of the dire situation. Recognizing the gravity of the case, he contacted the U.S. Coast Guard for assistance, signaling an escalation from a shipboard matter to one involving international waters. With no footage of Lillian exiting the ship, the possibility that she had gone overboard, either intentionally or otherwise, became the primary theory. The ship's security team expanded their search, checking every nook and cranny, from the engine rooms to the lifeboat stations, while also interviewing passengers and staff. The captain, in coordination with the Coast Guard, prepared to alter the ship's course if necessary to assist in any search operations. A sense of urgency enveloped the vessel, with officers meticulously cross-checking passenger manifests, security camera logs, and even personal effects left in Lillian's suite. The once joyous atmosphere of a cruise turned into a backdrop for a real-life mystery. By 12:30 p.m. on May 10, 2011, the search for Lillian Carter had transitioned from a shipboard concern to an international maritime emergency. The U.S. Coast Guard, alerted by the captain of the Ocean Mirage, launched a comprehensive search operation. Their vessels, equipped with advanced sonar technology and skilled divers, began scouring the waters around where the ship had traveled since the previous night. The operation was daunting. The Caribbean Sea, with its vast expanse and deep waters, offered little hope of finding someone alive after several hours in such an environment. Yet, the search was methodical, with rescue teams plotting the ship's course, factoring in currents and wind direction to estimate where Lillian might be if she had fallen or jumped overboard. Helicopters joined the effort, scanning the water from above, while boats crisscrossed the area, their crews peering into the depths with grim determination. By May 12th, with still no trace of Lillian, the somber reality set in. The search had extended beyond the immediate vicinity of the Ocean Mirage, now covering a broad swath of ocean. Recognizing the case's potential criminal aspects, the FBI was called in, marking the beginning of a more extensive investigation. The cruise ship itself became a floating crime scene, with FBI agents boarding to interview passengers, crew, and review all available evidence. The mood aboard the ship had darkened, the joy of a vacation replaced by the tension of an ongoing search and investigation. As the days passed, the shipboard community buzzed with speculation and observation. Passengers and crew began to share anecdotes and observations that painted a troubling portrait of Lillian's last days. Some remembered her solitary figure at the Sunset Bar, her eyes often fixed on the horizon, a glass of wine her silent companion. Others spoke of overhearing arguments between Lillian and Brandon, their voices sometimes carrying over the sounds of the ship's entertainment, especially near the casino or during dinners. Rumors spread of a couple whose honeymoon had turned sour, with whispers of Lillian's distress growing louder. The staff had noted the tension. The once joyous couple seemed to be at odds, their interactions marked by a palpable strain. These growing suspicions transformed the narrative from one of an accidental disappearance to one where foul play loomed large. The ship's corridors, once filled with laughter and holiday cheer, now echoed with hushed conversations about what might have led to Lillian's vanishing. The night of May 9th, Lillian's last with the living, was pieced together from various accounts. She had spent much of the evening at the bar, nursing her drink with a look of profound sadness. Witnesses later recounted an explosive argument between her and Brandon at the Moonlight Casino, where, in front of an audience, she had slapped him. The shock of this public display lingered in the air, with guests murmuring about the couple's discord as Lillian left the scene, her departure marked by a mix of anger and despair. Her behavior that night was a stark contrast to her previously observed vitality. She seemed to be grappling with something heavy, perhaps the realization of her husband's infidelity or the crumbling of her dreams. This night was remembered not just for the confrontation, but for the palpable sense of foreboding that hung over it, as if everyone present felt the weight of what was to come. The revelation of Brandon Carter's affair was a pivotal moment in unraveling the mystery of Lillian's disappearance. This secret came to light through the observation of Isabel Romero, an Argentine guest on the Ocean Mirage. On the night of May 9th, while enjoying the ship's elegant VIP lounge, Isabel had inadvertently become a witness to an intimate exchange between Brandon and Amanda Langley, a 28-year-old paralegal from his Miami law firm. Their interaction was anything but platonic. Amanda was dressed in a sleek, attention-grabbing outfit, her laughter light and flirtatious as she engaged with Brandon. His hand on her lower back, their bodies angled towards each other, spoke of a familiarity and attraction that didn't align with the image of a man on his honeymoon. This sighting was not just a fleeting moment of indiscretion, it suggested a deeper, ongoing relationship. The significance of this affair became clear when it was later revealed that Amanda was also on the cruise, ostensibly alone, but now seen in a new, incriminating light. The affair provided a motive for the tension observed between Lillian and Brandon throughout the cruise, explaining Lillian's visible distress and the public altercation at the casino. It painted a picture of a marriage already on the brink, with Lillian possibly confronting Brandon about his infidelity, setting the stage for the events that followed. Security footage from the night of May 9th into the early hours of May 10th was crucial in piecing together the last known activities of Lillian Carter. At precisely 12:47 a.m., the cameras near the ship's infinity pool captured Lillian and Brandon in what appeared to be a heated discussion. Lillian was clutching a small silver necklace, her posture rigid, movements sharp, indicating high emotion. Brandon, in contrast, stood back with his arms crossed, his face a mask of calm, or perhaps calculation. By 1:02 a.m., Lillian could be seen leaving the area, her pace quick and unsteady, clearly agitated. Brandon followed her less than a minute later, his walk slower, more controlled, suggesting a stark contrast in their emotional states. This was the last time Lillian was seen on any surveillance footage, her figure disappearing around the corner towards Suite 7419, her movements a silent testament to the tumult of her final hours. In the still, early hours of May 10, 2011, aboard the Ocean Mirage, the clock ticked past 1:29 a.m., marking a moment that would later be scrutinized as the last known glimpse of Lillian Carter's existence. The surveillance camera positioned outside Suite 7419 captured a shadowy figure stepping onto the balcony, a silhouette framed against the vast, ink-black expanse of the Caribbean Sea. The night was calm, the ship gently rocking on the waves, its exterior lights casting a faint, eerie glow that barely illuminated the scene. The curtains fluttered softly in the breeze, intermittently obscuring the figure, making it impossible to discern whether it was Lillian or Brandon, or perhaps both in some fleeting, unseen interaction. For several seconds, this figure stood motionless, as if frozen in time, perhaps lost in thought, despair, or calculation. The ocean stretched endlessly below, its depths a silent witness to whatever transpired. At 1:36 a.m., the glass sliding door to the balcony clicked shut with a soft thud, sealing off this moment from further observation. This was the final act in Lillian's recorded presence, a haunting tableau that left investigators and those who would later study the case to ponder the possibilities. had she stood there, contemplating her next step in a moment of anguish? Had Brandon followed her out, orchestrating an end to her life? Or was this a fleeting pause before an unseen tragedy unfolded? The ambiguity of this moment, captured in grainy footage, became the linchpin of speculation, a silent scream into the night that offered no answers, only questions that would echo through the investigation. When the forensic team gained access to Suite 7419 on May 16, 2011, they approached the room with the precision of surgeons, knowing that every detail could hold the key to unraveling Lillian's fate. The suite, at first glance, appeared as a typical honeymoon retreat, luggage neatly stacked, a few personal items scattered about, but beneath this veneer of normalcy, the evidence told a different story. As they moved through the space, their trained eyes caught the faint traces of blood on the balcony railing, small specks that glinted under their UV lights like whispered secrets. These weren't pools or splatters indicative of a brutal struggle, but their presence was enough to suggest that something violent or distressing had occurred, perhaps a minor injury or a moment of chaos that left its mark. The team collected samples, their gloved hands moving with care, aware that this could be the physical link to Lillian's last moments. Even more unsettling was the discovery, or rather, the absence, of the bed sheets. Housekeeping logs confirmed that between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m., the sheets had been removed from the bed, a time when no staff were scheduled to enter the room. This anomaly gnawed at the investigators. It suggested a deliberate act, a hurried attempt to erase evidence of what had happened in those critical hours after the balcony door closed. Had the sheets been stained with blood, sweat, or something more incriminating? Were they used to wrap Lillian's body, to clean the scene, or to dispose of some other trace of the crime? The forensic team combed the suite further, lifting fingerprints, analyzing surfaces, and cataloging every item, but the missing sheets and the blood specks stood out as silent accusations, pointing toward a cover-up that turned the investigation from a search for a missing person into a hunt for a murderer. In the quiet, sunlit confines of Suite 7419, amidst the remnants of what was meant to be a joyous honeymoon, investigators discovered a handwritten note that would irrevocably alter the course of their inquiry. This note, found folded within Lillian Carter's handbag, was dated May 8, 2011, just 2 days before her disappearance. Written in Lillian's distinctive, cursive handwriting, it was a message of foreboding and fear. If something happens to me, tell my sister Gina I was right. Tell her I knew the truth about Brandon. Tell her I knew everything. The words, penned with a sense of urgency and despair, suggested that Lillian had uncovered something deeply troubling about her husband, likely his affair with Amanda Langley, or perhaps other dark secrets she hadn't shared with anyone else. This note wasn't merely a piece of evidence. It was Lillian's final testament, a premonition of her own fate. It transformed the investigation from a search for a missing person into a hunt for a murderer, offering a motive steeped in betrayal and hinting at the danger Lillian felt she was in. The note's existence painted a vivid picture of Lillian's state of mind, her awareness of Brandon's deceit, and her fear of what that knowledge might bring. For those who later read it in the courtroom, it was a haunting echo of Lillian's voice, a plea from beyond the grave for truth and justice. As the FBI peeled back the layers of Brandon Carter's life, the facade of a successful, charming Miami attorney began to crumble, revealing a man with a sinister undercurrent. The investigation into his personal and professional life uncovered a series of revelations that cast him in a new, dark light. His phone records exposed a pattern of late-night calls to Amanda Langley, not just during the cruise, but extending back months, confirming their affair was not a spur-of-the-moment indiscretion, but an ongoing relationship. This suggested a life of duplicity, where Brandon had managed to keep his infidelity hidden from Lillian until the pressures of the cruise brought everything to a head. Even more damning was the discovery of a life insurance policy taken out on Lillian 4 months before their wedding, a policy that named Brandon as the sole beneficiary for a staggering $1.5 million. This financial motive added a layer of cold calculation to the narrative, painting Brandon as a man who might have seen Lillian's death as a means to solve his problems, both personal and financial. The affair, coupled with this insurance policy, provided a clear motive for murder, suggesting that Lillian's confrontation over Brandon's betrayal might have escalated into violence. The image of Brandon shifted from that of a grieving husband to a potential murderer, his actions and secrets now under the harsh scrutiny of the law. On May 20, 2011, the narrative of Brandon Carter's life took a dramatic turn as he was arrested in Miami, charged with first-degree murder in connection with Lillian's disappearance. The arrest was executed outside his law firm, where he had continued to project an image of professional success and personal grief. The moment was captured by media, the spectacle of a once-respected attorney being led away in handcuffs, a stark contrast to his previous life. The arrest was based on the mounting evidence, the inconsistencies in his account of Lillian's disappearance, the forensic clues from Suite 7419, Lillian's ominous note, and the revelations of his affair and the life insurance policy. These elements together painted a picture not of innocence, but of calculated deceit and possible violence. Brandon's arrest was not just the end of his freedom, but the beginning of his public undoing, his life now dissected in the court of public opinion as well as the legal court. The trial of Brandon Carter, commencing in March 2012, was a legal drama played out in a Miami courtroom under the watchful eyes of the media and the public. The prosecution meticulously built their case, presenting a narrative of betrayal, rage, and a cover-up. Witnesses from the Ocean Mirage spoke of Lillian's distress, the public slap at the casino, her solitary moments, and the tension between her and Brandon. Forensic evidence, including the blood on the balcony and the missing bed sheets, was introduced to suggest that Brandon had attempted to erase signs of a crime. The most compelling piece was Lillian's note, which was read aloud, its words echoing through the courtroom, a poignant reminder of Lillian's fear and her knowledge of Brandon's secrets. The affair with Amanda Langley was laid bare, not just as a personal betrayal, but as a motive for murder. The life insurance policy was highlighted as the financial incentive, painting Brandon as a man who would kill to maintain his lifestyle and resolve his personal dilemmas. Brandon's defense team tried to sow doubt, suggesting alternative scenarios like suicide or accident, but the weight of evidence and the emotional impact of Lillian's note made their arguments seem faint. Throughout the trial, Brandon maintained a facade of calm, his emotions hidden behind a mask of stoicism as the evidence against him accumulated. After just 5 hours of deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict on March 28, 2012. Brandon Carter was found guilty of first-degree murder. The courtroom was silent as the verdict was read, the gravity of the words settling over everyone present. Brandon's expression did not change, his calm exterior perhaps a last vestige of control in a situation that had spiraled far beyond his reach. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without parole, a punishment reflective of the crime's severity and the clarity of the evidence presented. The swiftness of the jury's decision underscored the strength of the case against Brandon, and for those in the courtroom, it marked a moment of closure, though tinged with the tragedy of Lillian's unresolved fate. The verdict was as much about justice for Lillian as it was about unveiling the truth behind Brandon's mask of respectability. Even with Brandon's conviction, the story of Lillian Carter remained incomplete. Her body never recovered, leaving her fate a silent mystery of the deep sea. The Ocean Mirage continued its voyages, but the memory of Lillian lingered, a haunting reminder of how quickly joy can turn to sorrow. Amanda Langley, though not legally implicated, saw her life and career in Miami destroyed by association with Brandon. Her name became synonymous with this tragedy, affecting her future in ways she could not have anticipated. The case sparked a broader discourse about safety on cruises, the complexities of human relationships, and the dark potential within even the most polished individuals. It became a staple in true crime narratives, recounted in various media, a cautionary tale about the facades of love and success. For Lillian's family, particularly her sister Gina, the verdict was a form of justice, but it did not fill the void left by her absence. Lillian's note, her last act of agency, became a symbol of her courage and foresight, a poignant reminder of a life cut short by betrayal. The ocean, vast and unforgiving, kept its secrets, and Lillian's memory became a whisper on the winds, a testament to a love lost to darkness, her story a reminder of the enduring mystery and the human capacity for both love and malevolence.